Jose Buganza from SENER for joining us. And as Alexis mentioned, I'm sure many of you have been on our webinar series throughout the year and throughout the last couple of years, and so we're delighted to keep talking about Mexico. And I just want to take a quick minute to just emphasize that we have spent a lot of time in our webinar series and in our programming. In November, we did a roundtable in Mexico City on the oil and gas sector. And obviously, they're leading up, and still there has been much ado about the reform of the oil and gas sector. But in many ways, I think it's the electric market that perhaps has really shown through so far in terms of what's happened with the reform, but also going into the efforts to reform Mexico's energy sector. It was something that, for a variety of reasons, maybe didn't get as much attention, especially vis-a-vis the competitivity issues of Mexico and how important reform the electric market was going to be. Jose will walk us through all the great things that they have done, but what's going to be coming up in the new year. But I think it's important to emphasize that we talk a lot and we know a lot about what was the situation with Pemex in the oil and gas sector, but the electric sector was also in dire need of reform. It was a highly subsidized sector, and for those of us in the U.S., we always knew that Mexico, especially in the industrial and commercial area, were paying much higher power rates than we did in the United States. And so in global terms, Mexico's power sector was not competitive for industry. And again, it had a state-dominated player, or the sector was dominated by the state player CFE. And so all of these factors, I think, demanded attention in the reforms that are now way underway. And so I think also in terms of the transition to clean energy and the energy transition that we've just seen passed, I think these are all very notable achievements and things that were very much in need for Mexico's international competitivity. So we're really pleased to have Jose sort of unwind the latest developments, but more importantly, help us understand what 16 is going to look like for the reformed Mexico electric sector. And so just to introduce Jose Buganza, for those who don't know him, he's the Assistant Director for Electric Industry Coordination at SENER, which is Mexico's Ministry of Energy. He's been at SENER since 2014. He was previously working for several years at Pemex. He also used to work at Santander, and he has an MBA from Stanford. So we're delighted to have him with us this morning to help us understand and look forward into Mexico's electric sector for 2016. Jose, over to you. Thanks again for joining us.
Thanks, Jeremy. Thanks to you and to Alexis for hosting this webinar. I think it's very important for share what is going on. We are trying to, everybody knows that big change is coming where the wholesale market. I know what we have a very limited time, so that I will try to go right now. There are a lot of material. It's quite heavy to get into this thing. We don't have enough time, but I will try to make myself so that everybody understands what is going on. So
Jose, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Jose, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but could you perhaps, it seems like we're having trouble hearing you. I don't know if you can, the microphone closer, or if you can boost the volume on the phone.
Oh, do you hear me better?
Yes, that's better right now.
Perfect. So, did you miss everything? Should I repeat what I said, or just go through the presentation?
No, feel free to. I think we did have a hard time hearing you. So if you could continue to stay close to the microphone and perhaps boost the volume on the computer, that would be wonderful.
Okay, hold on. I have. Okay. So as I was mentioning, we are very excited and thank Jeremy and Alexis Foundation for hosting this webinar. We are very excited on sharing what is going on in Mexico. There is a huge reform that took place in 2004 when the laws were issued. And right now, the princess of the reform of the energy reform is the electric side, because we are going to the electric market on 2016. The next month, chain is coming to Mexico. So I will try to hold this material. There is a lot of things to talk about, and I will try to make myself as clear as possible so that you get the most of this presentation. I will try to explain everything like very briefly, because we have limited time, but I will try to make it quite clear. So let's begin now. About the back, I will talk briefly about the background of the Mexican electric system. As you can see on the slides, Mexico has a total generation of almost 65 gigawatts. From those 65 gigawatts, there are almost 50 gigawatts which are generated in conventional sources. We have almost 17 generated. Uh, as Jeremy mentioned when he was presenting, we have a player in the industry which is CFE. CFE is a federal it's a state-owned company, and CFE has also celebrated PPAs with different entities so that they generate energy. And there is a private sector there that are mostly self-supply operations, or they supply for their own consumption. I will talk briefly about this. Uh, about rates, which is one of the main objectives of the reform, that is lower rates of electricity. We can see in this slide that, and I will go to the next ones, that we have highly subsidized tariff in residential, and we compare with the US. We have our tariffs are 25% higher than those that are in the US, and without the subsidies, which are in the order of $7 billion, our rates or tariffs are almost 73% higher than those that are in the. Um, Mexico is also very interested in promoting the clean energy sources mentioned, and we have a lot of potential in the country. In 2014, we just were able to generate 3.2 gigawatts in energy sources, but we have very ambitious goals. As you can see, this part, we have launched a law that requires the generation to be of 5% of total generation to be generated by clean energy sources in 2024. From the goals also moved to 40% in 2035 and 50% in 2050. Something interesting in noting in this is that these goals are very ambitious because we need to attract a lot of investment in these sources, and also we need to implement some technology to make them operate, because the problem with renewable sources is that when they are not generating, we need to be able to respond to the run rate so that we can always be generation as the demand. About the industry, how it works currently in Mexico, there is quite easy. I mean, we have the big service that was uh, given by CFE, is the state-owned company, and CFE is the only one that supplies the residential that we call the basic service sector, and they supply also businesses, factories.
Alexis, we lost Jose.
Yeah, sorry about that, guys. Let me see if I can pick him up. Apologies for the interruption there. Okay, sorry about that, everybody. This is Alexis. I'll just see if we can get him back. We've just lost him. All right, I think he's back. Jose, are you back?
Okay, do you hear me now?
Yeah, we just lost you there for a moment.
Okay, I will. So the industry structure in Mexico currently is very easy. CFE, which is the state-owned company, is supplying all the electricity to the basic service user. This is for residential use and also for industry sale. But also, as I mentioned in the slide before, we have a self-supply scheme where some factories, Pemex, for example, with cogeneration, were supplying their own refineries, or ILSA or Holcim or Iberdrola were supplying their own. So with this scheme, the goals of the reform were mainly to reduce the cost and rates of the electricity. So the rates were 73% higher than those in the US with the subsidies, and the goal of the reform is to equalize the rates that are now in the US, being able also to generate. And to do so, or to do this, it is very important to restructure the industry. Besides implementing the wholesale electricity market, we are spreading CFE, that is the state-owned company, vertically and horizontally. We are spreading it vertically in generation, transmission, distribution, and retail. And horizontally, we will split generation in different companies and retail also in different companies. One company will be the basic service supplier, and the other company will be the qualified service supplier, so that the basic service supplies supplies the residential mainly, and the qualified service supplier supply those loads that are higher than 2 megawatts. The other element is to create a clean portfolio standard, and that there is an independent generation and transmission planning of the system. CFE was doing this, the planning and the planning of the generation and transmission. This will move the generation to CENER, which is the Ministry of Energy, and transmission to CENACE, which is the ISO, the Independent System Operator, that is operating the energy in Mexico. Okay, so what is the new industry that is being open in the market from January on? We create that generation, as I said, CFE is going to be split, operated, and this sector is going to be open to the private investment, either national or international. So those generation can play in the spot market, which is this. The spot market will be operated by CENACE, which is the independent system operator, and the spot market can allocate the energy either in the basic service supplier or in the basic service supply, which is this, or in the regulated supply, which is the qualified service supply. The qualified service supply can sell the energy to qualified users, whereas the basic service supply can sell the energy to everybody. Qualified users, the basic users as well. Which, as I say, the qualified users are those consuming more than 2 megawatts per hour, and the basic service users are those that consumes less than that amount of energy. And there's also another market that is the auctions, where the basic service supplier will sign contracts with those generating energy for 15 years in order to cover the basic service supplier and to get better control of the prices of the market. And besides of this, which are non-players of the market, are the transmission and distribution companies who will give the service of transport the energy from the generator to the retailer. Okay. So, okay. So there are different market features that we are. There are different markets. One is the spot market, which is the energy and the ancillary services market. This market is looking to cover the average cost of the generation. There is also a capacity market that is going to take place once a year, and this market is looking to cover part of the fixed cost of the generation. There are also a market that is the long-term auctions that is mentioned in this part. These auctions are looking to promote new investment and to pay the fixed cost of also the generation fixed cost. And we are also promoting the green energy certificates to promote clean energy in the system, and also the financial transition rights that is for hedging the risk that the loads will take for different prices that will take place in the market. I will explain this when I talk about how the spot market works. About the spot market, the spot market will have we are dividing the wholesale market implementation in two parts. The first part is going to take place from January 16 to June 18, and the second part will take place from 2018 on. And the idea is to be able to implement different parts and different markets in a system that will go from an easy implementation to a more complicated one. So in the first part of the market that will take place on January 16, there will be a spot market. In this spot market will be two markets as well. One is the day-ahead market, and the other one is the real-time market. What is this? Supposing that today is the day when we are operating energy, the day before today is the day-ahead market. In that market, generation will submit offers as well as loads, and this is trying to match demand with supply so that generation will be planned for the day of operation, which is today. And the real-time market is the market that is happening today. And the idea of the real-time market is to fix the imbalances that will be resulting from the day ahead was scheduled. There will be in the spot market for about 2,500 nodes that we will have different prices, and these prices will vary according to the condition that will exist in the system. The marginal occasional price that every node will have has three components. One component is energy, which will be the same for the whole system. The other component will be congestion, and the other component will be losses in the system. So every node, mainly because of congestion, we have different nodes. The energy will be optimized every hour with the ancillary services so that the system gets the best prices for dispatching. And the price will be set by the marginal plant or the marginal unit that will produce the energy that the demand will require, so that all the system will be paid this marginal price. Giving more detail about the offers will be set. The plants that will be setting offers will have they have to set the status they have, which is mainly that they can be dispatched or they cannot be dispatched, or they have in a most-run operation that they have to be operate or dispatched all the time. There are different dispatch limits. There are a maximum economic dispatch where the plant can generate energy, and an emergency dispatch that is higher than this in case of emergency occurs. There are different types of offers. I mean, an offer is composed of a startup cost, then an margin and incremental energy, and a no-load operation. And after that, there will be a marginal cost of the operation plan for every megawatt, and these have to be submitted when you are presenting your offers. At the first stage, all the supply, which are generation, can submit offers, but the demand, in the case of the demand, the offers are called bids. The demand only can submit fixed bids, which are location and quantity, so that SENACE will match these offers and bids, and they will get the local marginal price and will set the price for the whole system. The system will also, all the participants in the market with our generation and loads will be also able to make offers and bids for regulation. And regulation is, let's say, for those that are not familiar with this, like the backup, the reserve that the system needs in case that there is not enough generation, but they need to have that energy somewhere there being ready to react in the case that there are changes between demand and supply, so that the energy is always in the system and the frequency always maintains at 60 megahertz. So you can offer regulation reserves that are for these 60 megahertz of frequency. There are also spinning reserves that are those reserves that can react in 10 minutes when the machines are just working. We call like the warm reserves. And there are non-spinning reserves that are those machines that are not working but can react very fast, also in 10 minutes. And we have the supplementary reserves that are reserves that can work in 30 minutes, so that the system is always there is always reliability in the system, and you can look energy from different sources that are already in there. There are also some ancillary services that are not included in the market, which are reactive reserve, the reactive power, and the black start. In this case, the Regulatory Energy Commission hasn't determined what what the tariff will be for these ancillary services, how these ancillary services will be paid, but it supposes that are going to be paid for those that require this reserve in pro rata. Let's move because there is a lot of material going on. There are also transactions that can take place between different countries. In the case of US and Mexico, the import and export offers will take place in the day-ahead market. As I said before, the day-ahead market is a market that happens the day before of the real day of operation. So the market participants can submit their offers in the day-ahead market for import and export, and SENACE, which is the independent system operator, will grant these offers if and the criteria they will follow if that the import and sale of the energy should be at the floor price, and the export and buy of the energy should be at the price cap. I mean, Mexico is looking to import the cheapest energy and to export the most expensive energy. Those who are interested in import and export, when they program their offers in the day ahead, they need to be granted by an e-tag or an electronic tag to have to be able to reprogram and to transact this energy in imports and exports. And very important is that everybody mostly can do imports and exports. Exports can take from the Mexican electric system to foreign systems and vice versa. You can participate in any modality, or also they can take place from a standalone foreign plant to the Mexican electric system, or vice versa as well. And everybody can do this. Important is to consider that it won't be firm energy for import and export, because SENACE could use these lines in case of emergency. So at every moment, the way this will work is through offers, and the offers that will be granted are those that are more convenient for the system. There is also a capacity market that is going to take place in the market. We are currently designing this market that is going to take place on February 17. But the idea of this market is that the generation can cover part of their fixed cost. What is the main objective of this is that the government and the electric system is looking that there is enough capacity in the system that can provide energy in the 100 critical hours. As I said, that this mechanism pay the fixed costs that are not recovered in the energy market. This is not a market that is looking to promote new investments. This is only to cover the fixed cost. And what we design in this market is that it's quite important to know the prices so that I mentioned that in the spot market it will be 2,500 Nobel prices. So when Nobel prices go very high, this means that that zone needs a lot of capacity because that is why prices just skyrocket. And those signals are going to be in the market. So what we need to prevent is that that happens because that goes to a scarcity price could go too high, and Senas is trying just to cap those prices by and keep them low by having this market. So it's very important to have enough generation for this. It's also very important to note that in this market, the capacity will be joined with the energy. So the load will have requirement to contract either bilateral or by SENACE the capacity that is required, and the requirement should be somewhere there of 112% of the peak load or the peak demand. I mean, if a load has a demand of 100 megawatts per hour or per year, they have to contract 112 megawatts of capacity in the market. And as I mentioned, they can get this energy, this capacity, sorry, through bilateral contracts. But if they don't fulfill the requirement that the Energy Regulatory Commission sets, they have to get this capacity through the SENACE. As I mentioned, I mean, the most important thing is to have energy for the 100 critical hours of the system. And something very important to note is that if the capacity price, let's say that is 100, but the marginal price of the plant that is set to determine capacity cost gets revenue from the spot market, this revenue will be subtracted from the price so that they don't pay the full capacity price. It's part of the capacity price that covered the fixed cost of this marginal generation plant that was set as the parameter to get the capacity cost. We have also the clean energy certificates, which is a mechanism. We have the clean energy certificates, which is a mechanism to let's say that get more income from those generating from renewable sources. This mechanism is trying to solve the missing money problem for clean generation. What is this? Let's say in this graphic that the combined cycle gas plants have a level cost of $40 per megawatt, but the renewable energy generation has a cost of $60 per watt because the technology is much more expensive than that required for the gas combined cycles. We have to implement a mechanism to recover the $20 that those investing in renewable energy needs to cover their fixed costs. So that is why the clean energy certificates are for. Something very important to note in this mechanism is that the CRE, which is the Energy Regulatory Commission, is going to accredit the clean energy certificates earned by each generator. The CRE is also determining the obligations for each load serving entity, and the CRE is also maintaining the clean energy certificates registry. The market participants will make the offers for purchase and sales in the clean energy certificates market, so that when the demand and the supply of the prices to get these certificates match, that will be the price that the system will pay for the clean energy certificates. This market will take place every year, and it will take place from March 2018 on. So every year, SENACE will be sure that this market happens and that everybody gets their own, the laws to get their clean energy certificates, they are required. There is also an exception that if they cannot, the load cannot purchase the 100% of the certificates they are required, being the obligation for certificates 5% of their total demand, they can defer the 15% of the purchase for the following year. Very important is to note that the SENACE will calculate the market price based on these offers, as I mentioned, and the SENACE will notify the CRE of the clean energy certificates that must be transferred between the market participants. And finally, this market will also take place bilaterally. So if the demand or the load can get certificates in a lower price than that was set for SENACE, they can do that, and they have to report the certificates they bought or they purchased to SENACE. Now, the market will have also, as I said, financial transmission right market, and the financial transmission right market is a mechanism that allows market participants to reduce congestion, exposure to congestion prices. Which is this? This is that there will be a node where the generation is injecting energy. Let's say that the price of this node is $100, and there is a price where the load is withdrawing the energy. Let's say that this is node B, and the price in this node is $200. So the difference between these prices is congestion, is due to congestion, and that is a FTR. And FTR will be equal to 1 megawatt of the transmission line. So if the transmission line has a capacity of 100 megawatts, there will be 100 FTRs in between those nodes, and the price will be the difference in prices between those nodes. It's very important to consider that this can go in the other way around. I mean, if the injection price is 200 and the withdrawal price is 100, the load has to pay for withdrawing energy because the price is lower. So FTR could be positive or negative. What are also FTR signaling? FTR are signaling that there is the opportunity that are in certain areas or zones to build and operate plants, because when prices are very high, is because there is a lot of congestion and there is not enough generation in that area. So that is signaling that there is an opportunity of investment in that area. Some important things to consider in the FTR markets is that at the beginning of the market, there will be an allocation process for grandfathered FTRs. Those FTRs will be assigned mainly to legacy interconnection contracts to the basic service supplier. And the characteristic of the assignments are that these assignments will be based on historical usage and on physically feasible at the date of the legal reform. This FTR will be accepted or rejected by the load service entity at any time. I mean, if the FTR are negative and are producing losses for the suppliers or for the retailers, they can reject the FTRs. There will be also the chance to that in 2016 there will be the possibility to get FTR to auctions also, and all the participants can hedge the risk through this mechanism as well. And another way to get FTRs will be through network expansion investment. So if generators or load service entry participate in reinforce the transmission lines and to increase their capacity, they can get the FTRs for the next 30 years. Very important to consider is that the FTRs have, and it's saying here, as I said, because it could be a right or an obligation to pay. I mean, if FTR are positive, you have the right to collect that money. And if FTRs are negative between the injection node and the withdrawal node, you have the obligation to pay SENACE for this. And they don't grant the physical right to use the transmission line. This is just a financial mechanism. These FTRs will be worked in time blocks, so you can be grant of X number of FTRs in blocks from 0 to 4 hours, and this will repeat in every 4 hours. There is also another mechanism that I talked before that are the auctions. Auctions are divided in the long-term auctions and in the mid-term auctions. About the mid-term auction, that is a mechanism that will take place from 2017 on. So I will briefly describe that these auctions will last 3 years, and there will be energy and capacity offered. The idea in this auction is that those generation who can offer energy, they will be able to offer energy either in base load, in intermediate, and in peak times, and they can offer the energy in different zones. SENACE has set 85 zones, capacity zones, so that they can offer in these zones, and they can also offer the capacity and the energy, sorry, in block times. Now, the auctions for the long term are where most of people are interested in these auctions. These auctions are for capacity, for clean energy certificates, and for clean energy. Although here it says that is for energy, is for clean energy. I want to make myself clear on that. And the term of the auction is, in the case of capacity and energy, for 15 years, and in the case of the certificates, for 20 years. The request for proposal for this auction was published on November 30, so the process has already begun, and those interested will be participating on this till January 16. So the winners of the auctions can be participating on up April of 2016. From that time, the generators can have the time of 3 years to construct their plants and being able to generate the energy required and to have the installed capacity that the system is trying to get to this mechanism. Very important is in this auction, there are two things. The first thing is that these long-term auctions are looking to attract investment, mainly new capacity and in clean energy, and is ensuring efficiency to the buyer. I mean, is paying higher prices to generation than produced during viable hours, and is rewarding good locations and discourage bad locations. What is this? When the auction takes place, there will be different zones, 85 zones, and there will be nodal prices there. So if a generation submit an offer in this auction that is higher than the nodal price, the mechanism in the auction will adjust this price to the nodal price. This is because the system cannot allocate those winners the FTR to hedge the congestion in the system. So we need to provide them a mechanism to be sure that they won't have this issue. So although we are going to pay that amount of money for the auction itself, we need to consider that price because that is the price of the nodes. So the same happen with the prices that happens during the day. There will be critical prices during the day, and those prices will be paid higher. So the generators that are producing in these hours will get extra money. That is why I mentioned that generations will be rewarded and punished because of location. I mean, if they set a price below the nodal price, the location will be paid higher, and vice versa. If they submit an offer that has a higher price than that is in that node, they will be punished by lowering the price. And the same with the prices. I mean, in the case of the prices, the spot price will not longer be used in the hourly declarations. So every month there will be balanced the spot prices paid every hour and those submitted by the generation, and that is the amount that is going to be paid. Okay, so about the legacy interconnection contracts, I will run really fast because I'm getting out of time. Legacy interconnection contracts are those contracts that were existing before the market takes place and needs to be respected with the same features that they already have now. So we are creating an interconnection generator, which will be a CFE company, so that they create these interconnection legacy contracts in a different market than the wholesale market. But this generator of intermediation will take that energy to the market, and the intermediation generator will be a market participant. But there is a particularity. If any legacy interconnection contract would like to the market, they can do so, and they can also come back to the legacy interconnection system. And they also can go back to the market once again if they are interested. And if they go for the second time, they can not back to the old regime. And the market will allow that market participants have financial bilateral transactions. Financial bilateral transactions are looking to transfer the payment from the right of collect the money from one generator to the load service entity in the system, so that they pay each other out of the market. So with this, the risk of the market gets lower, and hence the guarantees that the market participants need to give to the SENACE will be lower as well, because the risk is not on the market, they are paying itself out of the market. So it's a mechanism to hedge risk and to reduce the amount of warranties that the market participants need to present in the market. And finally, the transmission planning, as I said, is going to be out of CFE as well. SENER will develop the indicative generation expansion plan. SENACE will propose the transmission plan, so that all the market participants have certainty what is going on through the next 25 years. They can plan their investments. And very important is that we have, I will pass to this, very important is that we have achieved almost all the goals and the milestones that we have proposed. The business practice standards mostly have been published for public opinion. This week we are publishing 9 manuals, and we already published 7 manuals before 2 months ago. And in next January, as is mentioned here, the market is going to begin. The sport market is almost ready. They are now in testing the software and the system. So this market is going to begin on January 1st. The auctions are going to begin on April 16. The assignments of FTRs, as I say, the grandfather FTRs are happening this month. The FTR auctions are happening in 2016. The capacity markets, as I mentioned, in February 2017. The medium-term auctions in 2016, and the green energy certificates market in 2018. And the conclusions of my presentation sounds that we have reached the milestones that we have proposed. We have an independent system operations, which is SENACE. We have completed the market design that happened on September 8th. We have set the first system expansion plan on March 2015. And we are ready for the next step. That is the beginning of the market in 2016. In January 2016. So we are very interested in all that are interested in generating, in retailing, or in participating in the Mexican market, come, and we are very open to give more details and to provide you with all the material you need so that you can participate in the market. Thanks for listening. If you want, we can go through the Q&A session.
Thank you very much, Jose. Yes, absolutely. I'm compiling the questions right now. There have been, as you can imagine, a lot of questions, but I want to start by congratulating you and everyone at SENER, but also CRE and of course SENACE and CFE for all the amazing steps and milestones you have reached in just over a year and a half or so on the path to this major overhaul of Mexico's electric sector. There's a lot of different questions. There's a whole series of questions about the clean energy certificate. So I'm going to bunch those a little bit, but let's get to a couple very precise questions to start, if you don't mind. And there's a specific question about the business practice manuals. And the question is, when will those be released and published? In the second part of the question, will those be available in English?
I will begin with the second part. They won't be in English, only this second market. But we will try to make an effort to get somebody to translate it. But at the beginning, I think these manuals will be only available in Spanish. So on September 25th, we published 7 manuals for public consultations. This is the credit manual, the spot market manual, the settlements manual, the invoicing manual, the long-term auctions manual, and the forecast manual. Those are were in public consultation. There will be officially launched by law at the end of December. If you want me to set the draft that were published for public consultation, I will happily share those with Jeremy and Alexis so that they can provide everybody with that material.
Okay. Okay.
Having said that, yeah, but there are more manuals. Last Friday, 3 days ago, we published the metering manual, the dispute resolution manual, and the import and export manual. And tomorrow we will publish 5 more manuals. One is the legacy FTR BPM. The other is which is, for my taste, the most important one for those that want to participate in the market, which is the registration manual. We'll also publish the legacy contracts manual, the legacy interconnections manual, and the instructions for dispatch manual. The final ones will be launched in January, somewhere at the end of January. Those are not required for the beginning of the market, and the BPMs required for FTR auction, for the capacity market, and for the clean energy certificates in energy markets will be launched in 2006. Those are the set, and the ones that I said, I can share the 6 BPMs with Alexis and Jeremy happily that they share with all the audience.
That'd be wonderful. Yeah, we can place those together with the recorded presentation and make it available via the web link. So thank you very much, Jose. Just sort of going to another precise question, and then we'll try and get to as many of these questions as possible. There's a question about the 2,500 nodes that you mentioned early in the presentation. And so if you could speak a little bit more, how are those, where are those defined, and limitations on each node is a specific question somebody has posed.
The system has 2,500 nodes all in the system, which is all Mexico, the exception of Baja California. Right now, we will make a transitory article that the market needs because at this time it's not possible to have the exact prices on that node. But what is possible is that we set 108 distribute nodes P. let's say that there will be 108 load zones, and within those zones, every zone is going to have somewhere in 22 to 26 nodes, so that the prices will be quite similar to these nodes. I can tell you that, for example, load zone is Guerrero. Mexico DF has 2 or 3 load zones. So every load zone has, as I mentioned, 25 nodes peak, what we call that are those that will be uh, having the prices. But those prices will be the same that will be the peak. And this is because right now Senace has developed the software and they don't have the infrastructure to be able to have the accurate metering of the 2,500 nodes, but they have the capability to have the an accurate metering of the 108 nodes, these nodes. So there is a mechanism when they will estimate what is going on with the other 25 nodes within this zone, that they can calculate the prices. And this is because they have how the vectors, the loads go to every node. That is why how they will meter the energy that is going to this area. But the prices will be set to the distributed node P level. I hope being able to explain this clearly. Quite complicated.
Right, right. No, thank you. And Jose, it seems like on this last answer there was a little bit of problem with the audio again. So I don't know if you can go back to where you were for the majority of the presentation in terms of the headset and the microphone, because
Oh,
just to make sure that we keep the audio clear enough to answer these complicated questions. Thank you for that. I know it's a very complicated question, as
you
are the
want me
rest
to
of these, frankly. Go ahead.
you want me to make a summary of the answer?
No, I think for the sake of time, I mean, I think we were able to hear it, but it was just a little bit difficult. And I think part of it is the complexity of the answer, obviously. But let me move on, because we do have other questions, and I don't want to run too far over time. There's several questions that get very deep into the market. So let me start with one of them, and the question is, what types of generators could benefit more from the abasto aislado, and what would they need to do to comply to participate in the wholesale market? So there's a pretty market oriented question for you.
Yeah, the abasto aislado, which can be translated in isolated supply, are those generation for themselves, and they are not interconnected in the interconnected system, Mexican system. So they cannot inject energy to the system. So I mean, there are a bunch of opportunities. They can participate just going to the CRE, asking for their permission to be generators, and developing the infrastructure that they need for this isolate supply. One characteristic for the isolate supply is that they have to build their own transmission line. So if the project pays itself and they have revenue from their investment, they can participate. There are no boundaries that limit their participation in this market. What I will advise for the ones interested in isolated supply or aislado is that they run their own numbers, so that they be sure that financially this project is profitable, because as I say, they need extra invest because they need to develop their own, but they can do so. They want.
Right, right. So let me ask you this. Perfect. Let me ask you what I think is a pretty good follow-up question that somebody has posed. Will bilateral import transactions be allowed without using the market for financial settlement?
No, at the beginning of the market, all the imports and export, as I mentioned in my presentation, has to take place on the market. To do so, the participant needs to give their offers to SENACE, and SENACE, if the import price is the cheapest on the system and the export price is the price cap of the system, they will be granted the e-tax, electronic tax, but the market participants doing importation and exportations can operate those. There is no firm capacity because we don't have enough transmission capacity, and SENACE could require the capacity in case of emergencies. So at this moment, that is not possible. But in the second stage of the market, firm capacity, the transmission planning takes place according to the program will be possible, and and that can take place. But meanwhile, it can. Another important thing is that if an import of an export can take place, but SENACE needs the line at that moment because of emergency, they can cancel the import and export without any charge, and the balances within the system are going to be by all the market participants. In the case of the Abasto Aislado, isolate supply, if they are generating, let's say in Mexico, and they have to send their energy to US in a dedicated line, they can do that because they have the right of that line. But for the lines that are going to the interconnected system, they can't. They have to go to the spot market. Or I'm there.
Okay. Okay. Let me thank you very much. I know that these questions are not questions that would lend themselves to 2-minute answers. So thanks for being as precise as possible. We're running out of time, and I want to get to several questions that will roll up together on the clean energy certificates. And then there's one or two we'll see if we can squeeze in after that. A lot of the questions on the clean energy certificates have to do with will there be a price floor? And bear with me, I'm going to put all these together and then have you give one big answer if you don't mind. There's a specific question: will there be a price floor for the clean energy certificates? Will the price of the clean energy certificate be determined through auctions in March? Please define a little bit about the role of cogeneration units and how they may qualify. And then also talk about the market of how the process is to market clean energy certificates for renewable projects. So there's 3 different elements there, sort of a definition: what's the price floor, how will prices be determined, and how will the sales be marketed?
Okay. The clean energy certificates, they won't have a price floor. The price will be set for the market, but there will be a highest price because there is a penalization for those that don't cover the amount of certificates they are required to purchase. So the higher price is the penalty that is imposed. The market will work there are 2 ways to acquire the certificates. One is to bilateral acquisition. I mean, the load service entity can purchase certificates to the generators, or they can go to the auctions. And through the auctions, SENACE will set the price, and the price will be set is kind of the same mechanism for the local marginal price. I mean, there will be a lot of offers generators of selling clean energy certificates. The load service entity will offer a price for purchasing those certificates, and when the supply matches the demand, that will be set the price for the all certificates that will be offered in the auction, and that SENACE will set. Cogeneration cannot grant clean energy certificates, but efficient cogeneration would. So renewable generation can. Sorry.
What do you mean efficient cogeneration? Please, I think that was one of the questions.
Yeah. Efficient cogeneration is that cogeneration that is not produced from dirty sources. So, for example, there is cogeneration with PEMEX that is produced from dirty sources that is not taken into account. But there is geothermal generation that takes some of this steam and produce electricity or energy, and that is not coming from dirty sources. So in the case of efficient cogeneration, it will be it is going to be grant one certificate, but it is not one per certificate itself, is zero point 0.8 of the certificate. So if you are generating, let's say, then 10 megawatts per hour, that efficient cogeneration will be granted only 8 certificates because it's 80% of the 10 megawatts that is generating, whereas every other renewable source of energy will be granted one certificate per megawatt that is produced. Hello?
Yeah, I think we lost you for a split second.
Okay. Yes. So I mean, every generator on the efficient cogeneration will be granted 0.8 certificate per megawatt because it's not as efficient as renewable energy in terms of clean energy, but the other renewable sources will be granted one certificate per megawatt they are producing. And I mean, there is an open market, the price will be open. It supposes that the price will have certain elasticity because the load service entity will be able to defer their obligation of purchasing the obligation that was set by CRE. I mean, for 2018, the obligation was set in 5% of their total consumption. So from this 5% of total consumption, meaning in the number of certificates, they can defer 50% of the obligation to the following year. So generators that are producing a lot of certificates will be very interested on getting these certificates sold in the market. So we expected that prices are very affordable for those who want to purchase certificates. And also a very important characteristic of certificates for renewable generators is that, let's say that generators go to the spot market and the green energy certificates prices are very high. Let's say that these prices are close to a penalty that CRE will impose to those that are not fulfilling the requirement of purchasing the certificates. So if the generators see that the prices are very high, they can offer in the spot market with negative prices to assure that they will be dispatched. And why to offer with negative prices? Because in assuring that I will be dispatched, I will assure that I can sell the certificate. So let's say that the price energy is, I don't know, $30, whereas the certificate is $100. So I will prefer to get money from the certificate than money from the energy. So, I mean, they can have this option as well. And this is a mechanism that those interested in investing in clean energy should consider when making their forecast in their investment plans.
Excellent. Well, look, there was a couple more questions, but I think for the sake of time, we will need to wrap up. I'll just mention there was a couple. There was a lot of other questions. I think what I'll try and do is copy all of them, Jose, and we'll send them to you so you can also get an understanding of some of the questions we were not able to pose. I think it'd be very insightful as you guys continue to work on implementation of the reform and the new wholesale market, amongst other things such as the clean energy certificates. Specifically, there was a question about a long-term auction for thermal capacity I wanted to mention, as well as a question about what planning to do for market energy efficiency and will there be a market created on that. But I know folks, we're a little bit after 11 and we promised to wrap this up at 11. So again, Jose, thank you so much for your time this morning. This was extremely insightful to have you walk through the new schemes in the market. It was fascinating and extremely complex. So thank you so much for your time. Congratulations. Keep up the great work and say hello to all our friends in the ministry there. And we look forward to seeing you online again soon, and everyone else online. Join us next week when we're going to talk about Brazil, and we'll be joined by someone from the Fundação Getúlio Vargas and the report that they've done looking at Brazil's oil outlook. And happy holidays if we don't connect. So happy holidays, happy New Year. Thank you all so much. Again, thank you, Jose, for your participation.
Jeremy.
Have a wonderful day. Thanks everyone for joining us.